Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk a bunch of animated shows and movies here with new podcasts every other Wednesday. Find everything about us at overlyanimated.com. I'm your host, Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
And Alex Bonilla.
Hey.
We are back talking The Owl House as we are in between the first and second half of The Owl House Season 2 when we're recording this. So we wanted to check in on a bunch of theories that everyone is having about the show. A big speculation time before the rest of the season airs. And a lot of, I think, big theories or possibilities to dive into. We talked about some of them already on our last Owl House podcast. You could check out our previous coverage at overlyanimated.com. We introduced Grimwalkers and stuff like that last time, but we're going to dive deeper into everything with Grimwalkers and Belos, stuff like that. So a lot of fun stuff coming here. As of this recording, we have no news on anything about the second half of season 2. So we'll see, but we'll be back talking about it whenever it comes back. Hopefully, this is the only podcast in between. Hopefully it's not too long before season 2 begins airing again. But yes, we have no news as of this. If you're listening in the future, there might be more things to speculate about. Okay, let's get right into the theories. And to be clear, we've seen episode 10, if you're listening in the future, of season 2, and that's it. I wanted to start off by asking, I guess, where we're at. I haven't heard from Michelle and Alex about anything Grimwalker, Belos related in a while. So what's standing out from you from the show right now? It's like what mythology element, or it could be a specific theory you have, or someone else has had that you've seen that you're most excited to see addressed soon, Michelle.
I mean, like many people, I'm very much like on the Grimwalker train. Very much assuming Hunter is a Grimwalker. I think the thing is though that pre yesterday's lie, like there was so much to consider already, just like with the Hunter side of that. I think, a lot of us assume that like, oh, okay, so Hunter's like definitely a vessel Belos is going to inhabit during the Day of Unity to have a new body, because his body kind of sucks and he like did something really messed up to it. But now that we have yesterday's lies context, it seems a little more unclear. Like introducing this whole like brother dynamic to presumably the lineage of Belos, unless he literally is like 4 centuries old, which I don't know. He doesn't look that old to me. So that's an interesting wrinkle there. It's a lot of, it's really exciting. Like, I really do love how this show's building on itself. And we haven't, like, waited too long, I feel like, since, like, the Hunter reveal of the Grimwalker stuff to the reveal of, like, Phillip having a brother. And that, I like that, too, because now, like, we're not getting, like, seeds of information every, like, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes. Like, we're getting it a lot sooner. It seems like now they're ramping up with that plot a little more, and I really, really like it. So, I think, like, the biggest thing is just, like, what's going on with the Grimwalker stuff. And, like, what does Belos want Hunter for, I guess, main concern? Just because, like, Hunter is a very likable character, so I care a little more about the state of his fate than just the brother stuff in general, because that's a little more speculative. But Hunter's like right here. It's easy to care about him right now, so that's where my head's at.
Protect Hunter. Yeah, we agree. They've been moving really fast. We got the Grimwalkers in the like beginning of episode 9, brother stuff episode 10. Like, yeah, maybe this will be addressed really quick in the next few episodes. That's definitely possible. Alex, what about you? What are you most excited to see the show dive into soon?
I feel like I'm a lot more invested in just the overall plan with this Day of Unity. Like we at this point we have like some of the vagaries of like there's going to be a merging of realms. Earth and the Boiling Isles will somehow be combined, but I still don't really have a feel for why we would necessarily want that. Like Belos' health feels definitely involved in that, and like figuring out his
health.
Well, He's coughing up a storm in a lot of these episodes. I would like his throat to feel better. No, but just his physical state, and I guess relating to Grimwalkers, connecting that to the overall plan is probably a part of it. But just on the whole, I want to figure out what his deal is, and because that feels like the eventual big event that Owl House will be leading up to, and I'm interested to see what we can pick up before it actually happens.
Nice. Okay, yeah, I think those were the things I was going to say. So on the same page. Very excited for Grimwalkers. Very excited for a Day of Unity. In thinking about things before this podcast, I have a new Day of Unity theory, so I'm excited too.
Oh, good. Because I was going to ask, what do we literally think that means? Like, what does that represent? Is it a unity of two worlds? Is it a unity of magic between the covens? Is it a unity of Belos possessing Hunter? Like, what does Day of Unity literally mean? There are so many ways they could take that.
Yeah, on the surface, unifying the worlds, but maybe there's more to it. So we can talk about that. Yeah, I have some. Yeah, I want to hash out this new theory. I'm sure someone's thought of all this before. Owl House fans are covering every angle here, so we not necessarily everything we're diving into is an original thought. Credit to everyone. I think everyone was on the Grimwalker train pretty much at the same time right away. So I don't know if there's an origin for that, but I could be wrong. And then there's some other stuff we're gonna get into too. Oh yeah, I wanted to say also I am very interested in and invested in like the everything with Luz making the portal, because I think there's as I talked about in the last podcast, I think there's the main emotional stake of the show in like how they get the portal made, what's gonna happen with Luz being stuck in the Boiling Isles right now. Hopefully she does not go back to Earth and get separated in any sense. I think with all of Luz's emotional connections, including Ida, Amity, I think a lot there in terms of where that's going. But we also really don't know any direction in terms of making the portal. Like they tried making the portal, didn't work. So we'll see. We can talk about that too, though. Let's start with the Grimwalkers, and I want to reintroduce this. And last podcast we introduced Grimwalkers for the first time to April on the podcast. That was fun. If you want to go back and listen to that. But I think we're on the same page with Grimwalkers. So briefly, again, in the beginning of episode 9, there's a book open. It's like right at the beginning. If you pause it, and it says Grimwalker on it. I don't know if this is like a journal of Belos's. I guess that's what it is. And it has some words on it. It has some diagrams, including a picture of an eye, which I would say is maybe the main thing tying it to Hunter. It looks like Hunter's eye. So people think that this Grimwalker concept, it might be some sort of clone or homunculus magic method in the Boiling Isles. And people think Hunter might be that. Now, Hunter does have memories, or thinks he has memories of his upbringing. So it's not like it fits in perfectly. It would have to be something where like Hunter was implanted with these or told this, but it's not actually true. Or maybe he was a clone baby and actually all that's real, and he was just handed off to a family or something. I don't know. And big thing from episode 9 was that Belos, he says he's big plans for Hunter. It'd be a pain to find his replacement. Definitely a replacement, I think, a word we're gonna over speculate on. We'll see if it's justified. So the basic concept of Hunter being a Grimwalker, I guess, again, to dive more into the book, there's one of the last bullet point is Bone of Ortet. And I believe if you Google Ortet, it's some vaguely sciencey word meaning something to do with clones. So like not like clones like they are here, but people are saying that's the big evidence. The diagrams, it's like there's like a person, a smaller person, a baby. Not hard to arrive at some sort of clone conclusion, I think, from seeing the book. So I guess to start with, like Hunter being a Grimwalker. And generally the show being invested in Grimwalkers, like, are we buying or selling that? Because the show has not said the word Grimwalker yet. It should be noted. Like, this is a lot we're extrapolating from one
this
image.
2 seconds worth of frame is all the only mention, right?
Yeah. Well, Alex, how about that? Are you a Grimwalker skeptic then? If you're saying it's only been 2 seconds.
Well, look, I'll admit when you prepared the outline for this theory, this is the most I've read about Grimwalkers up until this point. So I had not really even considered this that much before looking at all the potential theories around it. I'll say that like, if Hunter were to be a Grimwalker, I trust the Owl House writing staff enough to make that good, but I have a little bit of a worry about making a character you care about just like, oh, you were a clone in the end. And like, I don't know, I feel like we're getting close to a point where a lot of shows are doing that now, of like,
Are we?
you're not actually real, and but you're finding your own identity, and like, it's still useful and all, but like it just, I don't know, I kind of want a little bit of a different story to go with Hunter, but I can see the people theorizing about it. Honestly, the alternative of Belos being it, because like Belos has such weird aspects going on with him. He's like gooping all over the place and stuff. Like I kind of believe that he's a new creature that we have not really dove into. So him being a Grimwalker kind of makes a little more sense to me, honestly.
Okay. Not mutually exclusive. I think.
They could both be
yeah.
Grimwalkers.
Yeah, I'll present. I think, and just like, oh, the character's a clone. I can see that that's like not that appealing. For me, it's much more exciting when you get into more specific, like what it might mean for Belos, the Belos story. So I want to present a few of those ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, and in terms of like, we have been seeing some clone theories. I mean, I think famously, Voltron had an actual big clone plot line.
Hordak is the only other clone I could really think of.
I know in Ladybug this is also a possible.
Oh, it's a Ladybug thing?
Yeah, we have a big Ladybug theory with Scent Monsters, yeah. So we have almost exactly, as we've mentioned in the podcast, almost exactly matching clone theories with Ladybug and Alice now, with blonde sad boys potentially being clones, which is very exciting. We love it. But Michelle, so you're in on Grimwalkers. What's convinced you?
I think honestly it was the eyes. Like, why else would Hunter have like these red burgundy eyes that look exactly like the red burgundy eyes on that picture of it was just like it's so intentional, and even like the face structure looks similar. And I mean, this is probably going to get into the other theory about like the statues of the boys we see in the town in Yesterday's Lie. But I mean, like, this stuff seems so intentional on the part of the crew. I can't imagine that it's, that it doesn't fit. I feel like they want it to fit, and it makes sense that it fits. So to me, it's like, yeah, it does fit. It does fit. It's Grimwalker.
Is it a possibility that that's showing you something that you need in order to keep or maintain a Grimwalker? Like, you need somebody's red eyes in order to do it, and so you hunt down somebody who specifically has red eyes to complete your maintenance.
I guess that's possible. It's just like looking at the picture. It's like you go from like the baby in the fetal position to like a little kid to like an adult, I guess, and then it just seems like it's showing very clear like the growth cycle of a Grimwalker, and like on the one side it has like I assumed the recipe, right? The Grimwalker recipe. Like
sure.
You need this set of ingredients to make one, and then this is the cycle it needs. And it even looks like there's like I don't know, there's that circle at the top where it's like you have something that's getting like broken, and I wonder like, oh, is that like because like Belos, he uses talismans. He takes their blood energy to stay alive. Like, could that be related to Grimwalker stuff? Like, are they not self-sustaining after you make them or something? Do you maybe need a fresh Grimwalker to maintain a current Grimwalker? I don't know, but I feel like that book is just so full of information.
Yeah, that's true. That part at the top with the stones, yeah,
right?
I had not really thought about that
at
before.
One point or something.
Yeah, maybe that's to do with upkeep. That's possible. There's a goop in the very top left.
Yeah, there's a drop. Maybe that's the blood from.
Yeah, interesting.
That's in blood of talismans, but that is kind of what it is.
Yeah, that could be the talisman stuff, Belos, and that's more definitive. Is that Belos needs the talismans and he like consumes their energy. That's been clearly presented by the show, so that could be a build up if that ties into into this, which I believe it would. I do think it must be jarring if you're like a casual Owl House fan and you like turn on a podcast or a YouTube video and it's like Grimwalkers. It's like, what? I've watched every episode of the show. I've never heard of Grimwalkers. And I think normally I would say like, let's not base an entire thing based on a 2-second background type shot. Although this is very intentionally placed. Like, generally, if you're writing a show, you want to, like, be clear about if you're doing some foreshadowing and building up, you want to, like, say the thing prominently, if you want to explore that more. But I think Owl House is a little bit of a different beast. It's like a conspiracy type show. Like, this is in the vein of the Gravity Falls, where the show hides codes in every episode. The letters of the episode titles spell out a thing, which we'll talk about. Like, this show would be more likely than any other show to do this sort of thing, where it has it reveals a big thing in a 2-second shot. Like, it feels right for this show more than any other show. And I do think there's other stuff like we have seen Belos with the Palismans that would potentially be building up to this. But yeah, for me, it gets a lot more interesting when you bring in other possibilities. And I think the other big evidence for me is the replacement line, in episode 9. I do think that's, I've very much keyed into that. So, I see like, okay, I'll rehash this again. My two big, Grimwalker theories. Before episode 10, because I agree, episode 10 kind of changes things, right? Like we were on a full week of Grimwalker speculation, then everything got reshuffled after episode 10. So before episode 10, I thought, okay, Belos is Phillip, and
we all assumed,
and
he is preparing Hunter as a vessel. To inhabit, we didn't even know he was super old at that point, but I guess the journals were very old timey. So he has been able to stay alive. He grows a new Grimwalker, and then his mind takes over the new Grimwalker body, and so Hunter will be like, his mind will be killed or consumed by Belos when he inhabits Hunter's body. Basically, it's the next replacement vessel for Belos. That was definitely my big theory after episode 9. I think this is maybe similar to a Hordak Prime storyline on She-Ra. Definitely something we've seen in fantasy stories.
Oh, that's another clone. Yeah.
That would be. Yeah. He has a bunch of clones. Yeah. I guess Hordak himself a clone. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Clones very very hot right now. Very in. So Michelle? What do you think of that? Does that still appeal to you? Does episode 10 change things? Did you even like that kind of idea in the first place?
I mean, I think the only thing, I'll start by saying, yes, I love that. And I kind of still want to believe that, even though yesterday's lie throws the brother thing at us. The only reason the brother thing complicates it is just because when you look at the profiles, everyone talks about how Hunter's nose and like kind of face shape look a little more like Phillip's brother. Right, which would make us assume, the brother of the clone, but why he wouldn't want to be his brothers? Maybe he doesn't want to possess Hunter. Maybe he wants him for another reason. But honestly, like the more I think about it, like we don't know what happens to the state of the body as a Grimwalker, but like I'm just gonna assume either Belos like was messing around with dark magic and messed up his body. Or, like, maybe being a Grimwalker isn't sustainable after a certain period of time and your body starts to break down. Or maybe it's even, like, a cursed form of magic, whereas, like, the longer you maintain your body, like, it starts to revert to, like, a really creepy state. Like, maybe that's what's going on with Belos, right? Like, the gooping and like the transformation sequence where we see him like super monstrous, like his shadow and all on the wall. Maybe that's just what happens if you maintain being a Grimwalker too long. Yeah. So, and also just like the thing that really surprised me about Belos is just like he looks like such a regular dude. Like all the things that could have been behind this mask, if it wasn't for the line across his face, like he'd look like a pretty normal guy, and I just couldn't get over that. His ears super small. There's no way he didn't start off as a human. So he's not old enough to be, 4 centuries old. If this I believe Luce thinks this started with Phillip in the 1600s. So, and she uses a smartphone now. So, like, if it's present day, we're talking at least 4 centuries. So, I mean, I don't think that's the original body of Philip, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible given that timeline. So I think the most likely thing, he looks like maybe 45, 50. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But he's not like a grandpa, you know? So I think like the most likely thing is that, yeah, his body's decomposing either because that's what normally happens with Grimwalkers or he like messed around with wrong magic. But I don't think... I think like the assumption that maybe he does want to possess Hunter is still very much on the table because it seems like maybe he does this a lot. Like maybe this is the first time he's like consciously made the decision to rise to power, to go to Earth. I think this also means that if he's like transferring his mind when he told Hunter like, oh yeah, I've been to Earth before, like technically that's literally not true. Like maybe 5 Philips ago with the original Philip.
Not
visiting
Philip, yeah.
Earth, but not actually this one. And maybe that's part of why he wants to go so bad. Because I really hope that, like, like spoilers, big spoilers for Amphibia, but like Conquest being there right now, that absolutely panned out. I kind of hope that Belos' plans, like, not just literally taking over Earth. I do think personally it'd be a little more interesting if it was a thing where it's like, he has these memories, even though he knows they aren't technically his, but he wants to go there again to like, for it to feel more real, you know, like it is his real life and these memories aren't fake and he really is the same person, even though he's not. And I mean, I think that could get into some really interesting stuff with Hunter. Where like, yeah, Hunter, if he is like a clone of somebody else from, you know, a very long time ago, like he's also Hunter, he's his own person and he can choose his own life path. And but also like maybe he does have weird memories from a life that's not his, and maybe that'll be made more clear later on in the season or something, and a lot of drama can happen with that. So I still really like the idea of, you know, Belos having him around with the explicit desire to possess him in some way. And that he grew him himself in his own little laboratory. He told him he was his uncle. I mean, sure, but
Yeah.
I just think that's way more interesting.
Yeah, I think a distinction between that you're bringing up here, which I think is a good point that we should get into, is like two kind of ideas for this. Hunter's a Grimwalker of Belos, like a clone of Belos, because what I was presenting was that Belos's mind would like literally be transferred from his current body, whether it's his original or a Grimwalker. I think it's a Grimwalker body. Well, it would be like literally transferred from him and replacing Hunter's current mind. So like in that case, like he would be the same, literally the same person in terms of mind, that was from the 1600s.
Yep.
Now that being said, you know, his memories might be faded. Maybe the transfer takes something out of you. So he still could be like, I want to see Earth again. It's been so long. I barely remember it. It could be that sort of thing. But you don't necessarily need the mind transfer. He could literally just be a clone of Belos. And then it's like, okay, then here's the new Belos. Maybe he pushes a switch and activates his memories or something. I don't know. But like, it doesn't necessarily necessitate a mind takeover like that. It could just be like he is some iteration, I think like you were presenting, like some iteration of Belos, and each Grimwalker like removes him more so.
Maybe, yeah, I'd like that, because one thing that didn't make sense, like the more we would listen to the journal, to Philip's journal, it's like Philip seemed like a pretty chill dude. I mean, we only have like snippets of his journal to go off of, but he was very fascinated by the world. He seemed relatively respectful of it. He was just like very curious and was writing down notes and exploring. So he didn't seem to have any kind of like, unless he kept it out of his journal, desire to like take it over or harness magic. So I do like the idea that like with every progressive, you know, changing of the guard with the Grimwalkers, that they kind of push away from that initial version of that person, and go down this different path. And even if they don't really perceive themselves as changing, they totally are with each time a new Grimwalker forms. And that's really cool. And so, yes, I would love that if that were true.
And the other thing I think, and yeah, I agree, I think that is cool. The other thing should be noted is we're looking at this image from episode 9 of like the Belos face reveal, and Hunter's standing right behind him. They look extremely similar. Like we should note that. They both have blonde hair. They both have the same ears with the little hitch in it. He looks like a clone in this picture of him, or like he looks like his son. And in what Belos told Hunter, like what Hunter says, he's not like directly related, even though he says uncle.
Exactly. He's like,
he was like an adopted uncle, is what Hunter
he
thinks.
adopted him.
But like they look so similar, that can't be true. I mean, I guess it could be.
It's definitely very suspicious in the context of the Boiling
yeah.
Isles, but also like maybe one of the things that because like. Why does Hunter have big ears if he's I mean, I don't think anyone's really talked about that, but it's like he has no inherent magic ability, right?
Yeah.
So that seems to point to Grimwalker, but also he doesn't have human ears. So is that just like a thing that all Grimwalkers have? They're modeled after like witch clones and not human clones. So all of the clones just get witch ears. I don't know. It's a little strange. He's kind of like a hodgepodge between like the Boiling Isles itself and like the Philip Belos legacy.
It's a good point that if Belos was originally a human, why does his current form have witch ears? Why does his new clone have witch ears? Hunter...
I don't think Belos has witch ears. They're just pointy, but they're small as heck. Like, those are human-sized
Those are human ears? Interesting. I didn't think of that.
They're just not cute and round like Luce's, but they're about the size of a Luce ear, you know?
I mean, in this theory of cloning over the generations, given that you're stuck in the Boiling Isles for this long of a time, I think it would make sense that, like, if you have any control over how the clone ends up looking, you'd like want to like tweak it a little bit over generation to like slowly blend in, and so that way nobody really suspects anything when you end up being the emperor somehow of this realm.
That's a great point.
That explains, again, if we're looking at that picture on Belos's little human ear, he's got like a chip in it, right? And Hunter has the exact same chip on the same ear. That's a little sus. That would just naturally happen.
I wonder if you need to chip the ear for the Grimwalker process or something. Like maybe that's a sign of being a Grimwalker. But I didn't think of Belos's ears as I guess I saw so pointy, small. But they are small.
The first thing I noticed when the episode dropped, I'm like, oh, his ears are very small.
I guess you should look at the ears. I guess so. Alex, where are you on this concept of just generally Hunter is Belos's new replacement? How likely do you think?
I'm into the idea of it. I would say also, if we're bringing in the fact that Belos potentially his brother is Philip, is there a possibility that Philip is already in Hunter? Like, is that anything like that? And that's why Belos is so desperate to keep him around for like one day, like I don't know.
Yeah, but I think you're leading us into possibility number 2. So let's dive into that.
Okay.
Same page. So that was my idea. The Hunter this is just like pre-episode 10, just like Hunter is for Belos, like he's Belos's replacement. Okay, but then episode 10 brings in the brother things, which really complicates everything. So this we're going to talk about, is Belos Phillip or is Belos's brother Philip? If Belos's brother is Philip, maybe Hunter is not a vessel for Belos himself, but is a vessel for Philip, to revive Philip, to bring him back from some sort of suspended animated state. I don't know where Philip is, but Hunter could be Philip himself. He could literally be a Philip clone that just doesn't know he's Philip yet, and eventually he'll tell him. Or he could want to implant Philip into his mind. I guess it's simpler if he's literally Philip, and he's just like a clone of Philip, and it's like Belos's way of getting Philip back. But there is a lot of evidence for this too, because the main thing I think is that Hunter has a cardinal palisman, and we see an image in episode 10 of one of the brothers has a cardinal on his shoulder. If this is the Philip brother, the cardinal could have finally found his way back to Philip after all these years. which is something that the Bat Queen says to that palisman. It's like you haven't found someone in so long in that episode. So if this is this could be Philip. It could be young clone Philip. And then maybe there's some sort of activation process, or maybe he never gets his memories as Philip back, and this is just like, hey, Hunter, you're actually a clone of my long dead brother. Deal with that. Maybe this is just I'm kind of in originally I'm like, oh, there's some sort of like terrible thing that's going to happen to Hunter. He's going to die, but maybe he's just Philip, and that's just all. Yeah, Michelle, what do you think of this possibility now?
I'm like looking at the picture in the book with the awesome drawing of the the witch with the spiky tail. I love that. And then I'm scrolling down to the picture of the statue. I guess like the thing that's really throwing me off is the freaking ponytail, right? Because like Belos has long hair. So as soon as we knew what Phillips looked like, I think we were all like, oh, like long blonde hair. How many guys like that existed in the Boiling Isles? It gotta be the same person. Maybe that's not true. Maybe it's flipped. And I do think that like I'm looking at them both, and I know like some people pointed out that like one of the brothers is holding like in the book picture, he's holding like, you know, a little square paper with a circle on it. So he was practicing magic the way Luce is, like the natural elements. And if you look at the stone picture, one of them has a book and one of them is holding like a crumpled piece of paper. So it's mirroring that. So that's probably the same brother. So that's not the brother that has the little bird on the shoulder. So if the one with the shoulder bird is Philip, then Belos is the other brother that we don't know the name of.
Belos is the one with the ponytail in this sketch. Am I following?
No, I think I think
Belos
it's flipped,
is the
right?
Belos would be the magic user, right?
Yeah, Belos is the magic user. I think that makes more sense, right? Because one of them is holding a book. So the book one, I think, is Philip. And they have short hair in the statue, and that checks out more. Like they had a journal, they are studying, and like the other brother was interested in magic. So I think the magic brother lines up way more with like if Belos is at all related to either of them, probably leans towards being the other brother interested in magic, and not the one that was just more curious about the world from like an academic, inquisitive mind perspective.
Yeah, I think it's unclear trying to match the brothers a little bit. I'm trying to see like one is taller.
So and like honestly, in the book picture, both of them have ponytails because that was just the style in colonial times. Right, so that's really hard.
Yeah, are they like George Washington wigs?
They might be, yeah.
Yeah. So I think yeah, getting into the whole Belos. So honestly, after episode 10, I'm like, oh, Belos isn't Philip. Philip is a separate person. I was like, oh, duh, like that's my obvious conclusion. I was a little bit taken aback to see a lot of people still think Belos is Philip after episode 10.
I think it's the hair. I think it's the hair, and also one of them just like has a more prominent jaw and nose that looks like Hunter, which is also very confusing.
Yeah. So what's the conclusion of Michelle? If you're comparing all the people, like Hunter looks more like who from the pictures? Who we think?
I mean, Hunter looks like the one that had. I mean, if we're going based on the statue, Hunter looks like the one holding the book, just purely based on nose and jaw.
Okay.
And then the other one, I think we all want to assume is Philip, the one with the ponytail holding the crumpled piece of paper. But the thing is, the paper boy is not the one who has the red bird on the shoulder. So what does that mean?
Yeah,
you know,
I'm not sure. I do think it's the glyph one in the book is taller, and then the statue, it looks like the one on the left is taller. I don't know if that's anything. Could be perspective.
It could be. I think it might be perspective.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is confusing, but I think I don't think it's definitive at the very least who's who. So I do think like the cardinal thing. And it should be noted, these again, the book and the statue. I'll try to put all these pictures in the podcast notes. I'll remember to do that.
Yeah, they help.
These are all like one image again, much like the Grimwalker book. The cardinal is like a thing in the show. The Bat Queen line about the cardinal having not had a owner in a long time. That's like actual thing in the show. Like so, there's some significance I think with Hunter and the cardinal, and it's like seeing a cardinal in the book. like no coincidence, I think.
There are no coincidences in shows that have to be animated. My second thing I wanted to bring up, and I feel so bad, I don't remember who initially had this theory because Twitter moves so fast with this stuff. But so the one holding the piece of paper with the magic scrolled on it, so they have a stick thing. Some people think that might be the Goose Boy, also from that episode with the Palismans, the one that had the kind of bell on its nose, and they kind of set in relation to if you look at the Emperor's Coven brand insignia, you have two sets of bird wings, right? One's pretty big and one's a little smaller. So what if the big wings are from the Goose Palisman and the small wings are from the Cardinal? And it's the brothers either made it together or Belos was being sentimental about him and his brothers Palismans, or the original brothers, because he's not one of the originals. I think that's an interesting wrinkle of information hiding in plain sight that we can now make sense of now that we have more information.
Interesting. I barely remember the goose. I've seen the insignia being. I think Rebecca.
Because there are two sets of bird wings, and they're different kinds of wings. So, what does that mean?
Yeah,
one of them could be cardinal.
I think Rebecca Rose was comparing the Emperor's Coven or some sort of Belos insignia to the town symbol, of the Earth Town. I think that was interesting. So that might be evidence Belos is one of the brothers. Alex, what's your reaction to all this new stuff, and generally buying or selling Hunter as Phillip, or generally the brother? We're assuming Phillip is the brother here, but Hunter being not for Belos but for the brother.
This is a lot to keep up with.
I'm going to give you guys a picture of the goose because it looks like it's had a rough life, man. It's got cracks in it and stuff.
Okay,
That's
we'll bring the goose into the mix.
Goose.
Yeah,
I think this goose is legit. I think it's a thing. I think whoever said that on Twitter was right. Look at that goose, okay? It's
Where's
been through a hard life.
Yeah, it's been cracked in multiple spots.
Yeah, that's an old goose, you guys.
The eyes look dead, like a.
Oh, it's just one of the random palisman. Okay.
It's not random.
It does look old. Yeah, the cracks seem deliberate. Yeah. I like the nose with the bell. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. But generally, okay, Alex, if you had to pick, Hunter is Belos's replacement or Hunter is the brother?
I still lean towards Hunter being the brother in some capacity. I don't know how it would work or what the reasoning would be for bringing him back necessarily, besides him being a brother.
Sentimental. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason to bring it back is to be sentimental.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I lean towards that one a little more.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's more appealing after episode 10. There's brothers now. He's bringing his brother back. I think that makes a lot of emotional sense for an arc for the show to go in.
And he wants to go, if he's going to go back to Earth, he wants to go back with the person he went in with.
Yeah, I could totally see them have the original brothers making that promise to each other. They're like, one day we're going to go back. And now he's like, I can finally, after 4 centuries, I can return the promise to you.
After 4 centuries of recycling bodies.
That's the thing, right? That would be so sentimental, but the casual way that Belos said it would be such a shame to get a replacement implies that it's annoying if Hunter died, but he could find someone else. But this looks like a process that takes real time, presumably 14 or 15 years to do for Hunter to age that much. So if the Day of Unity is fast approaching, you'd think he'd be a little more urgent about it if Hunter was that special. But I mean, that's why I'm if he's so sentimental about this, how can he say something like that so casually about replacing Hunter? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he might be jaded or trying to play it cool, but he's
just playing it cool.
It's
you could die. I don't care, but please don't die.
Plays into the villain thing, but
Yeah, I mean, his whole dynamic with Hunter throughout the show is trying to keep him in check, keep him in fear, so that he is more easily manipulated to do what he needs to get him to do. So it fits.
Yeah, I could see him not wanting to let Hunter know he is special. But maybe he can just make another Grimwalker. Maybe it is a pain, but maybe he can do it.
Okay. That's true, maybe.
Let's bring in the new theory I had today because it's related to this. So
Today, fresh
new
new
theory
Dylan
again. I'm
theory.
sure someone thought of this, but so I'm thinking like, what is Belos's goal? I have a main theory. I presented a previous one. I'll do that in a second. But my new theory of what Belos's goal is if we're bringing in the brother. Let's say Belos is not Philip. Let's say Philip is the brother. What if the Day of Unity is to revive Philip? What if that is the big goal? Bring Philip back. It ties into Hunter being the Philip replacement. We know that they're trying to do a big spell on the Day of Unity. He needs as much magic as he can. That's why he's capturing wild witches, making them join covens before. Episode 7 also says Belos is preparing a big spell. He needs every head witch. Episode 6 says he wants to unite the realms and create a utopia free of wild magic. So I need to try to tie. It could be a lie. I need to try to figure that out.
Maybe he doesn't. What if he doesn't give a crap about the human world? And he's just like, I need like a convincing reason to get all these people to cooperate to bring my brother back.
It could be a lie, but yeah, he needs
magic. Like, I'll give him this BS. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna unite the realms. That sounds pretty cool. Don't you guys want to help with that? But maybe his actual real plan is just to use that magic for his own purpose. Like, wouldn't that be wild?
I think it's possible. It is very blasé how they drop Belos's goal in episode 6 in the beginning of episode 6. So it could be I think there's definitely more than that. But it could just be not true. This all could just be to bring Philip back. I'm not sure why he needs the magic if he already has a Philip clone with Hunter, but like I said, he could be literally have Philip's brain on ice and be use magic to put it into Hunter's head. That would take a big spell, I assume. Or maybe he needs a big spell to activate his memories inside Hunter. But I want to tie this to Ladybug a little bit because I think like it's very appealing to have a villain whose motivation is very like personal and emotional and like I'm bringing back my dead or comatose like relative. Like that is what the Ladybug villain is trying to do. So
no more talk about.
So it's look, we're trying to make them the same show, but like it very much grounds the villain and makes them sympathetic. Belos I don't think is very sympathetic right now.
No, not at all.
Right.
Well,
so
not from anything we've seen him actually do. No.
I feel much sympathy for him being like, yeah, it doesn't burn me when it rains in Earth. I want to feel that again. But I feel a lot of pity for that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of cool things. He's got a cool streak on his face. But like if we want to flesh out Belos's character, I think this is like this would be a pretty cool way, like tying it to Philip, right? Like if his ultimate goal, like it is a pretty common villain motivation. Ultimately, I just want to bring back the person who I love, and to me, it's like this is just his brother who he loves. It's the only person he has from when he was like really human on Earth, and. I think he's doing it all for Philip. That's the new theory.
I mean, the thing I agree with about that is just like if his goal was only to go to Earth, I think he would have tried harder to snatch Ida, or snatch Ida's portal. She was the only one we knew that had a direct portal. He was relatively aware of it, but he was like he got frustrated with Lilith when she didn't catch her, but he wasn't like beside himself, and he certainly wasn't traipsing around the Boiling Isles trying to get it himself. So I don't think the end motivation can be about Earth. I agree. I think like he wants the magic for his own reason, and I don't think it's specifically like mainly even focused on getting to Earth, because he could have found other ways to get to Earth by now.
And in terms of just his motivations to get to Earth, if Belos is Philip, or like even if his brother was Philip, it's implied that Philip was the original maker of Ida's portal, and Philip lost it. That happened earlier in the season. That is, I don't think it's definitive, but that's implied.
Not definitive, but it is, which is like.
So it's like Belos, you could think he could get that back from Ida, or like. Figure out a way to make a new one. Like apparently he needs the portal key, so we can bring the portal key into this too if we want.
And he is building another portal, so it does seem like he definitely does want to go to Earth, but
Yeah, another possibility I'm thinking up here. Have we considered the possibility that maybe Philip and Belos fell out at some point, and like this whole brother thing is kind of just like filling out his history, but there's not at like it's more just like this is where Belos decided he wanted to go full on magic, and Philip disagreed, and I don't know. Like we might have
I
some
can
of
see
that
that.
too, and then like that would kind of throw off a lot of these theories that are surrounding like wanting to bring back Philip. But like I also think that would be kind of interesting to give Bello some extra personality. Like he had a fork in the road and he chose to throw his lot in throw to more magic centric plans.
Well, I feel
Uh,
like they're definitely setting that up, right? Because again, like even looking at like if one of them was magic focused and one of them has this journal full of just like kind of taking in the world and appreciating it as far as we know and nothing else. I mean, why wouldn't they argue about what to do with it now that they're in this whole new place?
Yeah, and I think this is totally valid that because here's the thing, Belos is here and Philip is not here, so it's like what's that
Yeah.
about, right? Like
What's that about?
it's definitely a possibility that Belos turned on Philip. Or his brother, like if he's Philip. I mean, again, a lot of this doesn't really matter who's Philip, who's not Philip, but like, definitely possible he like went down the dark path with magic, yeah, and then either accidentally or on purpose uh, took out Philip, and now maybe he's regretful and he's like, oh, I got to bring him back. I accidentally
Oh,
did
that would be
this.
No,
good.
no, no. I think, and plus, like again, if we're talking 4 centuries, either Bells was a Grimwalker or he found a way to use dark magic to prolong his life. But like the other brother would have even died of old age by now. Like you can't live 400 years normally in a human
That's true.
lifespan.
That's
So
true.
he could have
So
just naturally died after like they argued, and he's like, "Well, you're gonna make that choice. I'm gonna bring you back anyway.
that's true.
We're going to Earth together."
Mm.
Let's segue back to Belos being a Grimwalker. Speaking of which, because he is very old, and so like here's the evidence Belos is a Grimwalker. And, you know, we've alluded to this. We get the face reveal in episode 9. His face, it looks wooden. It does, I think, or it has a streak on it, some unnatural streak at the very least.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is he needs palisman to he needs these, as mentioned, he needs to absorb palisman energy. So let's go back to the recipe. The Grimwalker recipe contains palistrum wood as one of the ingredients. So the thinking is that maybe Grimwalkers literally are made of this wood. Maybe that's just what they look like. Maybe there's skin on top of it, but as they grow old, they disintegrate into this wooden structure behind them. And you know, maybe since being a Grimwalker needs Palistrom, maybe he needs Palisman energy to keep it going. I think that's maybe the kind of thought behind that. Now we
In,
can,
Well, I also, in terms of the ingredients, the streak is kind of green. It makes me think of like seaweed, and one of those things is a Selkidomus scales, which is that one of those sea creatures from the first episode of this season. So like that also kind of like works, right? Like he's like part sea creature, so of course he had like seaweed wrapped around his face.
I like that. I hadn't thought of how to bring in the Selkidamus scale. I like that as like it's a component of the wood, the palistrum wood. Yeah, I wanted to go through the ingredients. We talked about the bone of Ortet. I just talked about the palistrum wood. One of them is a Galderstone, which is
It
from
sounds familiar.
yes, it's from episode 5 with the Gus plotline. So maybe that wasn't so useless after all. So they're trying to get the it's one of the relics in the graveyard. Like it boosts magic. That's what they do. They're like an ancient relic that they boost magic. So I guess you need a lot of magic power to make Grimwalkers. It says heart and power, right? Under
yeah.
Galderstone. I don't know what that's about. Or I don't know if those are types of Galderstones or what. But we do know what Galderstone is. We know what Palistrom wood is. We know what Selkidama scales are. Two things we don't know yet is Bone of Ortet, and then also Stone Sleeper
Lungs.
Yeah. We have no idea what that is. I saw one YouTube comment that I liked with maybe Stone Sleeper. That's a creature we don't know yet. Its lungs are apparently important. Maybe that's what King is. Maybe King's a Stone Sleeper because he's a vocal power, and that like involves the lungs.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So
Like there is like a drawing, but it's really hard to tell what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's for the Stone Sleeper. Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe that's what the lungs look like. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah. So it's an intriguing. A lot of thought went into this one like 2 second image. A combination of things we know, things we don't know. Yeah. It's so in general, Belos is Belos a Grimwalker? Alex, you said initially that was more appealing to you even than Hunter being Grimwalker. You still buying Belos as a Grimwalker?
I buy that a lot more. Like he just seems very like cobbled together up to the point where like he's like leaking all over the place, and he needs to like have this giant mask to like because people would if actual magic people saw his face, maybe they would know a little better what he is versus Hunter, who's like this kid, right? Like he doesn't know any better, but other people might pick up on that if they saw him. So yeah, I get the sense that he, as we mentioned, for the theory is that he is one of these brothers that came in hundreds of years ago. It has to be in some unnatural form that he survived this long, and you know this feels like something. This setup feels more natural to me to justify that.
Yeah, what do you think, Michelle?
Now I'm like thinking about other stuff. So one thing that occurred to me, the Selkie episode in season 2, I mean, so that was something Hunter was supposed to get for Belos in that episode, which implies if he was getting Hunter, who already exists, to get an ingredient for a Grimwalker, that implies that Belos is going to make another Grimwalker in the future. So if that's true, is the Grimwalker he makes later going to be like for him or for his brother in that case? Like, does he maybe not even intend to be the version of himself that goes through the portal then? Does he want both his brother in fresh form and a new young him in a fresh form to be the ones to do it? Like, why is he already collecting ingredients for another Grimwalker in that case? If Hunter's just right there already ready to go, you know? Like, what's that about?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I definitely think it would make sense for him to be wanting to refresh his body in some way. Like this method of like sucking up magic from talismans is only going to get you so far, right? So like if you just want to like create a whole new body from scratch, that seems like a way to like a reason to get all these ingredients up, and it makes sense with what we've seen of Belos like slowly breaking down over the course of the season.
Yeah, he's definitely getting worse than he was in the first season.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that episode 1. Forgot about episode 1. I shouldn't have. He's on a fetch quest hunter for Belos. Yeah, so he wants that's pretty big evidence. He's trying to bring one of the things. I mean, is Hunter trying to kill the Selkidamus in that episode?
Yeah, he intends to kill it to get the scales.
He said the scales specifically? Is that okay? I mean, Hunter's on the.
Succeed.
It's a sad Hunter. Belos needs one of the ingredients. This is a big piece of evidence, actually. So that's true. Hunter is there already. So maybe it's like Palisman that Belos does just need to refresh himself with the various ingredients. Maybe he's storing them in case he needs a replacement, like he says for Hunter. Needs all the ingredients there in case he wants to make a new Grimwalker if Hunter fails. It makes sense. He said it'd be a big pain. I mean, he's having to send him on all these quests to get all this stuff. I assume some of them he has to do himself. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. Okay, so yeah, the Selkidamus scales. I mean, I think all the evidence is here. You know, not to be the guy from episode 10, but I'm fully convinced on this now. I definitely think Belos is a Grimwalker. Hunter's a Grimwalker is the original, and he looks like the diagram. Belos is being something, right? It just makes it's
definitely not completely human. I think we can all agree with that. The thing that's throwing me off now is like the more I stare at that dang Grimwalker recipe, it's like. So if the same process had gone about to make Belos, why does he still have blue eyes and not burgundy eyes like Hunter? If that's like a trademark of being a Grimwalker, why does only Hunter have those eyes? In which case, like if that were true, Belos would have to be something else.
I don't know. It could have. fades over time back to the original eye color or something. I'm not sure. It's a good point. I mean, I think like if we ignored Grimwalkers, Belos could just have like done magically enhanced to keep himself alive for so long. But isn't that kind of what this is? It's like just it's a magic way of keeping yourself alive. So I think this is in line with what inevitably was happening with Belos all along. Assuming he's not like a great grandchild of the original brothers, like he has to have magically made himself live this long. So it might as well be a Grimwalker.
In terms of like not being human, might as well just be a Grimwalker.
I'm like basically 100% on both of them being Grimwalkers. But
I would love that if that were true.
And it's like Belos could be a Grimwalker, and Hunter could be a Grimwalker for Phillip, not for Belos. Like all could be true.
Yeah.
Like everyone's Grimwalkers.
The two brother thing just really makes it so hard to know anymore exactly who's Grimwalker anymore. It's like you could flip flop them all day now.
Hard to know who's Grimwalker. Yeah. If we were doing a title, I think I don't know if we're doing a title or not, but who's Grimwalker? Okay. I want to go back to. We're bouncing around a little bit, so I don't know if the description will have the right timestamps. But we're gonna. I want to present the alternate theory I had for Belos's ultimate goal with Day of Unity.
Okay.
Because I just thought of the. I mean, it's simple, but I did think of the revive thing like today. But we know that from episode 6 that Belos wants to unite the realms. He says create a utopia free of wild magic, but he wants to unite the realms. It's pretty big information.
Yeah.
He doesn't just want to go to Earth. He wants to combine it with the Boiling Isles, if we trust his word.
Right. If we believe
we shouldn't, but he's there's so. But I was struck rewatching episode 6 for the last podcast. The that information combined with Luz has a plot arc of like she doesn't want to know what to do with her talisman yet, because she doesn't kind of understand how she's going to be a witch and go back to Earth, because on Earth you can't do magic. So that's the key here, is on Earth you can't do magic. This has been demonstrated several times in the series, including the season 1 finale. Like glyphs don't work on Earth. Spells don't work on Earth. The decomposing Titan is the source of magic in the Boiling Isles. So you can go to Earth if you're Belos, but you lose your magic. So what if you combine the realms, and if your ultimate goal is to do magic on Earth? He wants to be a magic user on Earth. You have to combine them in order to do that.
He literally wants to have his cake and eat it too.
Yes, that's the idea. Because right, it has to be just more than like this little bit that's presented in the beginning of episode 6, uniting the realms. But it's like, why unite the realms? Just go to one or the other. You could make a portal. It just strikes me how big of a theme it's been that you can't do magic on Earth, and it's important to lose, and it would be like thematically satisfying if that also tied into Belos, like that Belos wants to go back to his original land, but he also wants to do magic. I don't know what he wants to do with magic on Earth. I don't know if he wants to take over, or he just likes magic. I assume there's a specific reason. This could also tie into reviving Phillip.
I mean, if we're following that theory, which like actually I think it's a really perfect explanation for why, because otherwise, it's like what's so great about Earth that you'd want to go back? Well, if it's personal because you were a human and you lived there most of your life, that's a good reason to go back. And what's the one thing Earth's missing? Magic. Yeah. But I mean, if that were true, then it would be more of like a nice sentimental bonus for him to bring a version of himself and his brother back to Earth, to maybe not rule it together, but just like experience the benefits of both worlds. And maybe that's something they even talked about when they were both alive, when they first visited. Like, oh, this place is so great. Like, too bad Earth's not like this. But what if it was? And so he's just carrying out the plan, the old plan.
You could see a flashback of like them being younger, being like, "Oh, our goal is, let's do it together. Our goal is to be able to."
In a nice, helpful way.
Yeah.
It's not like.
And then it all went wrong.
Went wrong.
And then Belos got too into magic, and then he accidentally hurt his brother, and then he's been going down this route of reviving himself and trying to bring Phillip back, and now it's all going to come together with the Day of Unity.
I wonder if like Belos thinks he's a good guy. Like I feel like looking at him, he knows he's not a good guy and he knows he's sketch, but maybe he actually thinks he's still like on this tried and true path from the get-go.
Yeah, like the story is right that like this happened 50 years ago where he took up the throne and was like wild
Hmm.
magic is bad,
Recently.
get behind me. It's like
Yeah.
if you're doing that for like decades, at some point you buy into your own thing, right?
The
Like
hype, yeah.
yeah,
I can see
this is what
that.
I'm supposed to be doing, you know.
Like to be
Yeah.
fair, Belos does actually look like 50 years old. That looks like that could have been his normal timeline.
Right. It could just be this Grimwalker of Belos.
Yeah,
Just the
yeah.
one who, I don't know, maybe it has separate motivations. But I just the idea of like Belos being in the Boiling Isles for all this time, lurking, and then eventually deciding to take over and enact this like big plan. It is pretty
No,
interesting.
I like right because like I think it makes sense as a timeline because like when the brothers first came there, like it would have taken them reasonably so long to study the world and
Mm,
understand how it works. And he at some point had to realize, well, if my end goal is to merge the worlds, I will never be able to possess that amount of power on my own, especially without like the magic sack. I don't have that. So what can I do? Well, I can use like influence and resources to create a new structure system that directly feeds into my plan and harness everyone else's magic for my ultimate goal. Like instead of trying to do it all himself, he's just like funneling everyone else into the perfect scheme for him. And I think it probably took him a very long time to figure that out before he even started the new system 50 years ago. Like that was all pre-planning probably on his part.
yeah, I think that makes sense. I totally think so. You know, they had to like, and also like Philip's diaries, they had to go all these places, study all these things.
Yeah.
You know, it gets to a point where he can take over, and if he's been alive for so long, I mean, they would have had to have discovered Grimwalkers earlier, I guess, like pretty early on. Unless humans have an enhanced lifespan or something. But I don't know. I think all this like to me kind of ties together. I think there's an element of bringing Philip back or the brother, an element of bringing the brother back, an element of Grimwalkers, you know, an element of like an
Merging the
emotion
worlds.
merging the worlds, as he said, an element of like an emotional backstory with Belos and Philip. You know, like
Yeah.
we laid out a pretty like detailed thing just now with that kind of ties them all together. But it could be that, it could be different. But I feel like all these things are going to tie into it in the end.
One thing I want to circle back to because, of course, this is all focusing on Belos, but reminder: the show Luce is the main character, right? So, like, you brought up the
Oh.
fact that episode 6 sort of ties into Luce having like beginning to consider whether or not she, she's been living in this world for so long now that she's beginning to doubt, like, you know, well, what is my future? And then
Mm-hmm.
episode 10 enhances that even further, right? We're like, it's a reminder, yeah, you have people who love you over on the other side, and you've decided to be in this world for so long. So what are you going to do? And I think that that is definitely setting up some kind of, you know, future decision that she has to make. So I wonder if we go down the route where worlds are merged entirely, and like, of course, in terms of us being satisfied with Luce, we just want Luce to be happy, right? It's like, oh, that's like perfect for you, right? But like from a
Hmm.
story emotional standpoint, does it make sense to remove that decision from her when we're setting up right now? Like, you kind of have to figure out what you're going to do with your life. Does it make sense to just be like, no, the world, we're just going to combine them, it's fine? Like, does that work?
You know, like Luz could stop Belos. Belos could not succeed. But I like your line of thinking here that we need to like because if there's this whole thing of the backstory presented of you know, Belos and Philip, they decide to enact this grand plan to merge the realms. They want magic, they want Earth, they want to do it all, and then they get corrupted along the way. Luz learns of this backstory, and then she has to make a decision. Ultimately, maybe she defeats Belos. The worlds aren't merged. Has to make a decision. Do I want to live on Earth? Do I want to live there? She says, you know, I can't follow in his footsteps. I can't try to have it all too. I need to just go back to Earth. Like,
Yeah,
and
that would be
yeah.
so good. I agree because I
Hmm.
agree with Alex. Like, it would be like taking the decision out of her hands to just merge the worlds, right? Then she doesn't have to make that hard decision. But it'd be so much more satisfying if she did make that decision and came up with a way to, like, you know, live with whatever decision she makes. Plus, like, I have to just say, the idea of the world merging gives me as much anxiety in this potential show happening as it did with Star and the Forces of Evil. Because, like, if you take a magical place with, like, monsters and creatures, you merge it with a literal human world, like, the government's gonna get involved, and it's gonna be so terrible.
Oh, no.
And it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. You do not want Earth people to have access to magic. It'll end terribly. So I'm a firm no on that being ever canon and actually happening. I love the thought that Belos wants to have his cake and eat it too. I want to see him try real hard.
Yeah, you could try and not succeed.
I don't want it to succeed. Yeah, for sure.
I could see. I could
you
see
would have a bunch of those historical society nerds just running around being, "Oh, it's real! It's real!"
No, look, clearly that guy in the last episode. Like,
yeah, that's what happens. Yeah.
Like, we told you, and now we're gonna harness magic to, like, I don't know, be really famous on Reddit or something. It'd be a nightmare.
Honestly, though, that's what they'd do. Gotta get the karma. I could see it temporarily merging and then going back. I could see that happening. Like we get a taste of it, but then it ultimately doesn't go there. But this is also like kind of a reverse ending of Star in that, you know, he wants to merge the realms and keep the magic, not get rid of the magic. So I think that's kind of interesting. But both would have pretty terrible consequences. Either way, not good, probably. Whether, you know, if there's a magic world and a not magic world, let's keep it that way. You know, we don't need a... Yeah, we don't need maybe you have a big portal that people can immigrate.
People choose where to go, but give them the choice. Don't not give them a choice by just doing it because you want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what Belos would want, so we'd want to stop him from that. I mean, I think we've seen, I guess like V in episode 10 is an example of a magical creature who we've met who would have ramifications from Belos's plans.
Yeah.
So we are kind of emotionally invested in at least one of them. Any other ideas, I mean, kind of like to conclude this giant merge discussion of Grimwalkers, Belos and Phillip, Belos's goals with the Day of Unity. Any other ideas for Day of Unity? Any other ideas with Belos and Phillip that we want to go over before we hit on a few other things?
I just feel like there are multiple meetings of the Day of Unity. I feel like it's at least 2 things, maybe 3 things. And I'm not entirely sure what all 3 of them might be, but like I'm excited. I feel like there's going to be some surprises. There's going to be some things we haven't quite been able to figure out that will be revealed whenever that happens, which could be the end of this season. We might have to wait till season 3, but I feel like it's really ramping up soon, especially because of the amount of plot they've given us the last 2 episodes. So I wouldn't be surprised at this point if we really did try for the Day of Unity, like end of season 2.
Yeah, that's the last thing I was going to say. It's like I'm assuming Day of Unity is the season 2 finale. That like makes sense from a structural perspective of the season, the big thing they're building towards. But then if I feel like all the stuff we're talking about would happen on the Day of Unity, it's like then what are the 3 big specials? You know, after that. Maybe the Day of Unity is the start of all the stuff we're talking about, and it carries over into the specials.
People have to break up into groups to accomplish different plans to disrupt the merger. Like maybe like Luce and Amity go in one direction, maybe like Lilith goes in a different direction, maybe like King and Ida go in a direction. Like the Coven leaders, maybe they'll have to, like, you know, once they see what happened with what they were doing, you're like, oh, we were manipulated by Belos, never saw that coming. They have to make the decision of like how to repair that damage now. Like I could definitely see just like branching off with different storylines to a point. And then, like, culminating ultimately with Luce somehow being able to fix this with the help of everyone else.
Yeah, I think this makes me more excited for like the finale into the specials. Like I feel like a lot of really really cool plot possibilities here. Like as much as we like a lot, you still seeing fans like let's have a full season 3, people pushing for that. Like, and I agree, but it is very intriguing that the 3 specials kind of all plot possibility of season 3. Like I feel like it could be really good. That
formatting, right? Like even if they did get less episodes, the fact that they're structuring it seems like intentionally as 3 specials seems to imply that like they intend for a lot of action and plot presumably to happen in like these bursts. So
yeah, I think that's very exciting. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to some other. Yes, Alex.
Before we fully move off, while I have this picture of the Grimwalkers here, That blueprint next to the book, is that meant to be the
That's the
key?
key. That's the portal key.
Okay, is that meaningful in any way, or did they build it? I forget what the status of the key was by the end of episode 9 or 10.
I mean, it implies that Belos has access to blueprints. We don't know if he or his brother or somebody before them made the key, but it seems like we assume the brothers had something to do with the portal being made, right?
Yeah.
Because like the Titan probably didn't make it. Titan died, and then everyone who came after the Titan kind of made sense of magic and wrote things down and experimented. But I mean, he has a blueprint. We know that either he got it from somewhere or he made it, I guess is the assumption. And the same with the Grimwalker recipe, right? Like either he made it or he got it from somebody else. We're not entirely sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I just remember at the end of the Eclipse Lake, right? Hunter brings the key, albeit busted, but like he brings it to Belos, try and like make his own makeshift one in the meantime if they never got that, or what the purpose of leaving that around was.
I guess, yeah. I mean, he clearly knew about the portal even in season 1, right? Which is why I keep thinking, like, well, if he really wanted it that bad, why didn't he just go get it? I mean, he sent other people to do that for him, but like they kind of like again, Lil took her sweet time, so it's strange to me that wasn't higher priority if the end goal was just to get there. Or even like, why make a portal if you're gonna unite magic? I mean, I don't think you can stick the whole world through a portal. So, I mean, what is the purpose of the makeshift portal? How powerful can it be? Enough to transfer a whole world to another world? I think that's a little suspicious.
Yeah, I would assume it's part of the uniting, I guess. But yeah, it is. I agree. It's unclear. Maybe step 1, portal. Step 2, big coven head, all the coven head spell, plus the wild expand the portal into the other world.
Okay, so the coven leaders are expanding the initial range of the portal to encompass the whole Boiling Isles. I think that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is like the surface level explanation of what's going on, like what we just outlined. Yeah, I think there's going to be some wrinkles here in terms of that key blueprint. Is a good call. Presumably, Belos trying to make his own portal key because he lost the other one. Because his hunter stole it back at the end. But I was watching Rebecca Rose videos in preparation for this. She like details that neither portal key will work because it doesn't have enough Titan's blood in it. Because like Amity cracked the key, so it's possible they have the key. Luz has a mitten with some Titan's blood on. It's possible neither is enough. So maybe Belos' plans are temporarily thwarted, but I assume he'll be able to figure out how to get more Titan's blood. I would think that could happen in the second half of the season.
Dig around those bones. Just dig real deep.
Dig real deep, yeah. Okay, I'm trying to... Yeah, are there other places that have it? Anyway, okay, here's some... okay, so last thing on this whole thing is like the... we can put this in terms of the quick hits miscellaneous. If we want to dig into any of these in more detail, or they could be quick. So let's start with like the idea of the rebellion. I want to bring this up because Michelle was on the between seasons 1 and 2 podcast we did on theories, and we talked a lot about the idea of a rebellion, right?
Yeah.
And like we don't have a rebellion right now.
I know this season has gone in a very different direction.
I know.
We had Rain and like
there was a rebellion.
Romantic backstory, and then Rain got caught. That's not the same.
I know. So let's talk about the Bats and Rain's rebellion, because every single one of them is captured at the end of that episode. So this is not an active rebellion. So it still brings up the question of like how are we counteracting Belos? Michelle brought up the idea of like we're having like different teams to try like who's doing this, like so presumably like Luz and Ida are leading this kind of anti-Belos movement right at the end of the season. Like
I feel like a rebellion is still happening. I think we're changing the order. I had initially assumed that the rebellion would be leading up to the Day of Unity. Now I think it's going to be in reaction to the Day of Unity. So after the Coven leaders realize what is happening and they're like, oh, this is actually not a great idea. Can we not do this? Then the rebellion might form in very earnest, time, like within the span of like a couple of those episodes. banding together, making a plan. But it seems like there may not be enough time for actively there to be a rebellion at this point before the Day of Unity happens. I think it's going to have to be after, and it's going to be like a lot more frantic.
Yeah, seems like it's not a big rebellion heading into. Yeah, maybe in the specials we have montages of forming, bringing other people in. But and the most it can possibly be, right, is Ida and lose free Rain, and Rain joins them, and they make the new bats, and like
Bats.
yeah, and like they go after Belos, but not any sort of like super grand rebellion. It seems like.
I am still hoping they find at least one other person who's considered to be like a wild witch, just because like I'd love for Ida to be able to have like conversations with them. But I was like hoping they'd go from like town to town to like pick up this ragtag crew of like outcasts. But I just don't think there's enough time for it at this point. So if they just find like one person, that'd be nice, just so that Ida's not the only one. Because like Belos has been referring to wild witches for a while, but Ida's like the only one we actually see. And I guess some of them are stone. Maybe they're going to find a way to like reverse the stonage of those wild witches, and then they can be part of it. But that hasn't happened yet, so.
Yeah.
Well, when Rain and the bats were protesting in the square, weren't the guards like chasing down some witch, or am I misremembering that?
I don't. I'd have to rewatch, but
Yeah,
that's very plausible.
Yeah, in episode 7, it's Rain generally says that Belos is trying to trap all the wild witches, and bring them all in before the Day of Unity. So there,
Just like
generally it's talked about that there are other wild witches that Belos is trying to take care of quickly.
And like in season 2, like either in the finale or the episode before, or season 1, sorry, we did see like, they had like their names or whatever, and then they had like actual statues of people that he had turned to stone for being wild witches. So we know there were people before Ida, but she's the only one we've ever actually seen like present tense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree though. I would like to meet another.
I want to see another one. Yeah.
I was really big on the Wild Witches thing between seasons. That hasn't really panned out. I know, you have to think it'll be at least a slightly bigger element in the second half. So yeah, that's top of the things I'd like to see from all this stuff. Okay, some other things. People love talking about the is acronym the right word?
I think it is.
They're like decoding it, right?
Yeah, there's also like a decoding thing in every episode. I have no idea about that. Separate thing. Okay, I have no idea about every episode puzzle.
Yeah, this is just taking all the first letters from the episode titles and putting them together, and they make a sentence. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
So the first season was A Witch Loses a True Way.
That's true. Okay, interesting.
So this season so far is Seek the Key. That's what the 10 titles spell out so far.
Well, but Belos and Hunter already found the key, so mission accomplished, right?
We got the key. That happened in the mid-season finale.
They sought it and they found it.
Maybe it's not a physical key. Maybe it's metaphorical key.
Ooh, yeah. So let's talk about this. So we think the next 3 episode titles, not confirmed, spell FEA. And I believe that is true. Not confirmed yet, though.
Okay, so fear something.
So fear is so I think it's Seek the Key, fear... maybe fear and then you have
door.
4 letters after that. Yeah, because it's
door. I would love if it's fear the door.
Fear the 4 letters. If it is fear which is we don't know, but it should be a witch loses a true lay. Did that mean anything? Like vaguely.
Okay, here's the thing. Maybe it meant something, but not about the character we think. Because I think a lot of people assumed it was Ida or Lilith specific first season, but maybe it was about like OG Phillip. Maybe he lost his way.
Yeah,
but he.
I think I saw that in the Rebecca Rose video. I like that idea that it's like we thought that meant that meant Ida and Lilith. But a witch loses a true lay. Under our theory of Belos got like corrupted in his plan, in his innocent plan with Phillip, I think that fits Belos. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, Belos was human. That's the only wrinkle there, which is why this is so frustrating. There's so many like little wrinkles, so nothing lines up perfectly for a theory. But I still think like it could just be a misdirect. It's a character we just haven't considered.
Seek the key, fear the interesting. But yeah, we have sought the key though. I like that point, and it's kind of cool that lines up with the key episodes at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see what happens with the acronym. We talked about the portal stuff, I think. So do we? Okay. How about this question? When will Luz be able to see Camilla in the flesh?
I give it the penultimate episode of season 2.
Okay, that'd be good.
Whoa, that'd be soon. Well, I guess if the portal happens, if the merger happens, yeah, then she'd have an opportunity.
Yeah, I was thinking not until at least
I would
the
think
finale.
season 3, but I mean,
Yeah, and then they let Camilla be part of the rebellion.
That would be nice. Yeah.
she brings her flip flop
Yeah.
ready to go.
That would be if she's in the Ida's team and she brings that would be fun. That would be fun if she was part of the mix. But yeah, I think basically just not like based on the amount of the ingredients they have right now, can't happen yet. So something's got to change in order for Luz to be able to complete the portal. King's dad. So this is a big hanging plot thread after episode 3 and the follow-up episodes. And,
Came out of nowhere. Well, not like nowhere, but like, wow, is this a surprise?
I like the idea that he's just following Ida like already on Instagram. It's like, oh, that's that cool witch who lives in town. Yeah, sure, I'll follow her profile. Oh, whoa, what's this? My kid?
Yeah.
So how is everyone watching Ida's live stream? That's true. King's dad, so someone drops off a letter that Hootie eats in episode 8.
Unconfirmed father could
so
just be the
two
same species.
thoughts are either the dad. I was like, oh, this is King's dad, but people are like, no, it's not King's dad. It's someone of the same species who's a messenger. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's possible. So these are both possibilities here. Rebecca Rose did a video of speculating that King might be a Titan. That might be the species of some sort of Titan descendant.
I'm gonna look up what the Titan bones look like.
Oh, he's a baby Titan.
Yeah, he's like a baby Titan.
Let's see.
Get that baby Titan's blood from him.
Okay, well the Titan does have horns, so I guess that's something.
Generally, like the skull face is like the most appealing thing about this, I think, aesthetically.
But the Titans are also huge, and even that adult-looking person was like not that big. He was
not that
Titan-sized.
Yeah. I could see King being Titan adjacent in some form.
Titan adjacent. I like that.
Yeah, whether he's maybe his species was like descendant from the Titans. Maybe they were the direct servers of the Titans. Like that was, they're an ancient species that used to directly interact with them. It should be noted that King's species at the end of episode 8, it's left specifically inconclusive what type of demon he is.
He's like Gonzo. It's like you just don't have a category for him.
Yeah, he doesn't fit in the current categories. I think that definitely means he's something that we don't know about that's important. So
yeah, he's definitely plot important at this point.
Yeah, and definitely his dad. But I think also episode 8 makes clear what species he is also important.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think like King being some sort of Titan, maybe he's the like we said earlier, the stone sleeper, the lungs from the recipe, some sort of important designation he has. So interested, and how does a lot of the stuff we're talking about, it's like, how does this tie into the thing we spent an hour talking about with Belos and Grimwalkers and Portal, So I think I don't know, how's King's dad? Here's another one. It's like, how does this tie into anything? The Collector, the character of the Collector.
Yeah, what the heck is that thing? And how do we know its name? They didn't say its name in the episode. Was it in the title, like in the credits or something?
It was in the credits, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the moon face robed figure from Ida's dream in episode 8. Yeah, they're credited as the Collector in the credits. We assume that is that weird person, is the person with the ambiguous name. People think this character will be coming back, even though it's only someone who Ida may have interacted with in the past. Presumably did, because even though these were like dreams, they were like flashbacks too.
But what are they collecting? Maybe they're just like a presence of the Boiling Isles, like some kind of mystic, magic-y force. Up to no good, because Ida was not about them. She did not like them.
Yeah. I do still want to tie the Collector into the Oracle Coven. I think we still have more to do with them. They look vaguely oracly. I don't know.
Yeah, the crescent moon is always like, oh, that's like future, like seeing the future-y stuff.
Yeah. I'm wondering if the collector, is this some sort of dream eater thing? Like maybe
Yeah,
maybe it
what do
really
they
does only
collect?
appear in Ida's dreams. But yeah, collecting. Yeah, that's interesting. Is the moon the face? It's creepy. I don't know. Okay, so that's I think definitely we'll see an episode with the collector. I assume this is not a major figure in the rest of the season, but I think it's like at least an episode. Speaking of people who've only appeared in one episode, is Amity's parents, which is a surprise, I think. Amity's episode 2, Amity's parents, they haven't came back yet. We gotta be doing something with them, right? Like, gotta be coming back pretty
We'll
soon.
join the rebellion.
We speculated on this, I think, in the last podcast that just because Amity's parents are the episode 2, it brings up the possibility, considering their technology was commandeered by Belos, they could not be so pro Belos.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
they could,
no, they're
Yeah.
just contractors.
Yeah.
They independently just make machines and then they sell them to people, and they've mostly been selling them to Bells because he probably has the deepest pockets. Let's be real.
Yeah, and it seems like Belos, maybe against their wishes, is taking over them. I don't know if he's paying them or paying them well for them, but and they could still be bad. Like presumably, Amity's mom is still bad for now, but just because she's bad doesn't mean she's pro Belos. So I think that could be an interesting independent force in this potential Belos fight. Is like, how do Amity's parents and the other old money witch families, like the Blights, how do they factor into this? Because as we talked about, Belos only took over 50 years ago. Presumably the Blights go back further than that, and there are other families that go back further than this, and Belos just took over a lot of the power structure that they had. This is speculation, but something like this probably is true. So where will the Blights fall into this ultimate Belos struggle? I think that's interesting. We did see Belos with a auto whatever the bot is, right? Like I think that is next to him in one of these episodes. So the bots have been there, even if Amity's parents haven't been.
And Kiki Mora's been like using them.
Yeah,
too,
I
at some
think it's
point.
Kiki Mora. Yeah. Okay. And how will Kiki Mora? We don't even have her on that line. How will she factor in?
Did you
Okay.
make that, Alex?
Baby.
Oh my god, thank you.
What does King have on him?
It's Gonzo's nose.
It's Gonzo's
'cause he's
nose.
the
Oh, it is.
Gonzo
Yeah.
of this universe. Nobody
kinda
knows
fits.
what it is.
Michelle just painted a picture and I needed to get it out of my head. I was
His nose
becoming
on it
distracted.
was really weird without context, but
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Looks like something else,
Gonzo's
but
nose
that's
in
okay.
general looks weird, you know?
Very phallic nose. Yep.
Thanks for saying the quiet part out loud, Dylan.
Thanks for just saying it.
I thought of a podcast appropriate way to say it, and I think that's a funny word. Okay. We talk about this. Here's a hot theory. We're probably not gonna. I don't know if I have the energy to dig into this a lot, but we could talk about this more than the other things. The whispers in the in between.
Yeah, what's up with that?
So let's introduce I haven't named the in between before, but this is good sleuth. There's a lot of good sleuthing, I think, by people with the whispers. So kudos to Rebecca Rose and other people for diving into this. So in the soundtrack, the title of several of the songs, as Brad Breek puts out music, is the in between is presumably referring to the realm that Luz is in episode 10. So with all the cubes, so that's what the in between is, and Luz hears slightly audible whispers throughout the episode that mostly say things like her name. Doesn't really say anything clearer than that. Mm-hmm. But I think the intriguing thing is like who is this whisper voice? I think that's what people care about. And thoughts were the Titan. Again, I think whenever there's something that's ambiguous, people are like, oh, it's the Titan. So that's possible. It's like the Titan trying to communicate with Luz. Could be a creature that lives in the in-between that we haven't met. I think that's the other speculated possibility in that video. Michelle, are you very intrigued by these whispers?
I mean, I don't think anything like I don't think it's super tied to the biggest plot points of the show, but it is like a layer that's there, like the collector, where it's just like, what the heck is this? Like, we don't have any information to make a realistic guess about how this is important, but it's in the show, and so that inherently means like we want to think about it. I assume that the voice was just like the actual presence of what the in-between world is. Like, it has like a sort of consciousness, Because I feel like it was like kind of helping her. Like when she specifically asked for a person or a location, she could then have access to the cube, right? That would direct her to that place. So I feel like it's like a neutral presence that's like aware of who she is. Maybe because she like had to shout her name. And there she was like, oh, okay, this is Luz Noceda, so I'll just call her Noceda. But also it's like it's a force, you know, it doesn't have like a body. It's just like an alive realm, which that's kind of cool. Maybe that'll play into something later when the world's emerged. But besides that, there's not really a lot to go on. But I do think it's intriguing.
Yeah, my only inference from it was that it feels like someone who would already be aware of Luce's existence, and that definitely like limits it to you know, like I'm not sure if it could just be like a totally new character or a character that's like actually permanently stuck there. Like it did feel like there was some intent behind like saying her name, saying the name Nocet, because the only part that I remember hearing the whisper audibly was when well, it says the last name specifically, and then Luz is like, "Oh right, Camila Noceda," like that, like I guess that like serves as like an impulse for like trying to nudge her towards calling out for her mom, sort of thing. That I felt like that's a possible interpretation of that, but yeah, not much to go on, but I do think that it would be something that was already aware of Luz before she entered there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that makes me think of like the speculation that we're having about who Creepy Luz, who sent Creepy Luz, stuff like that, which is resolved now. So
we had no way of being able to put those pieces together because there were very few pieces to put together at all.
Yeah, random thought I just had is, what if the whisper voice is Philip, who is stuck in the in-between?
Oh, I would love that. Or like Philip's brother. I mean, again, we can swap.
Whichever,
we don't know which
the brother
is which, but
whoever the brother is.
The one that was really into magic, I could totally see him fooling around with that key and getting themselves into a situation where they're stuck somewhere they could never get out of.
This is such a fantasy thing.
No,
like,
it is.
Oh, they're stuck in the magic realm. We have to go. Yeah, we have to try to bring him back. Maybe that's what the Day of Unity is for. Bring him back from the in-between. I think that would be a lot of significance on this place we saw in one episode, but you know, I don't know.
It's a really cool styled place. I would like to just revisit it for that reason alone, just because the aesthetic's really good.
It's very goopy, which also like makes me think of the goop that is coming out of Belos's head throughout. I wonder if there's any connection there, but just it felt very sticky whenever they were in there.
It's interesting. Could be like a source of a type of magic that Belos uses to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Yeah. Michelle, any other whisper thoughts, or I know you want to talk about talismans briefly.
Oh no, I already talked about the talisman stuff. It was just saying that I'm done with whisper stuff. I don't think we have enough to really form a lot with that. Talisman thing was just like, again, reiterating. I think that other talisman, that whatever the other brother is, it was theirs. Is on the stick. It was their talisman. It was the goose with the bell, and that's why it's all cracked looking now, because it's old. It's 400 years old.
It was the goose one.
Whereas, like, the Cardinals also got, like, it's kind of banged up, so I think the timeline checks out.
Yeah, I agree. It makes it seem like it's their old talisman. Yeah. I think I'm mostly good other than that. I mean, I could bring up, like, we've gone this whole time not talking about Lumity. Are there Lumity theories? Are there, like, plot Lumity stuff that people have?
Is Lumity strong enough to bring the parents over to the rebellion? Like
if they like make out in front of them and be like, see, you have to
hopefully not that.
Come to our side.
Look, I love Luz so much. You gotta help me help her do her thing, which is take down the Emperor. And they're like, fine, whatever.
Amity's parents weren't very pro Luz in that one episode, but they did work with her, at least.
Say anything? I don't think he has any opinion at all. I think we only got the pushback from the mom. I think the dad might be pretty easy to win over. And honestly, maybe the dad's the one who's gonna have to like talk to his wife and be like, "Hey, honey, I know you normally like take the reins on both our job stuff and parenting, but I think I gotta put my foot down. I feel like our daughter's slipping away from us, and we should just, maybe this isn't the way." And maybe he's the one that can get through to her because he's usually so chill. So she knows, like, when he's serious, it's like, oh, okay, maybe, all right. I will consider this alternative viewpoint because it's you.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that
would be cool.
Yeah, and then he can be involved and do something besides, like, just making these globby things. I forgot the name for the...
yeah, I know.
Abominations?
Yeah. It's yeah. So, yeah, there you go.
Tamagotchis are the thing that they were communicating on in that one episode.
That's true. That was great.
Yeah. In terms, just Lumity in general, just if they were together, like during one of these ultimate groups fighting Belos, I mean, that would be ideal. Just the thought of Luz and Amity being together during a major plot thing has not happened yet, so I was very interested by that. I
know that that's not like the main goal of the show either, to be super focused on their relationship. I mean, like, I feel like they found a good balance, but I mean, I'm not holding out hope that like Lumity is gonna be the solution to this.
This isn't going to be their love solves everything.
Yeah. Their kiss is not going to save the world, I don't think. Which is fine. It's fine. It's different show, different priorities.
I mean, look, I will say, the romance wasn't the focus of She-Ra either. It was probably more so than this show for sure, but. And it ends like that. Also, like Avatar, ends with the kiss, and romance wasn't the focus of Avatar. So I do think, you can kind of end on a big moment.
Smooch till after. It was pretty.
Right, that was just an ending. Yeah. Will we end the show on Luz and Amity kissing?
I would love that.
Well,
they're already dating, so like if they don't smooch till the end, I'm fine because they're already each other's girlfriend. And it's canon, so.
We were talking earlier about what the specials are going to be, and maybe it is like season 2 is when the merge happens, season 3 is them dealing with it, so it's all story. And like that makes sense and all, but at the same time, like that robs us of, especially where it's just like Lumity Earth date situation.
Maybe they can go on like one day in the second half of season 2 and get that out of the way before the Unity Day happens. I feel like that's the only time they'd be able to do that, unless it's in like an epilogue or something.
They'll just get the montage at the end of the third special.
Yeah, I think it is kind of hard to see them like going on a date during the specials if those are like really fast paced. Maybe before the season 2 finale, but also like it could have like an extended epilogue like Kipo, and maybe we spend some time on them. Like in the last 10 minutes or something. You could have a longer epilogue. I don't know.
I want to see an epilogue of Hootie and the Duolingo owl and all their like weird looking children, and he's just so happy.
Yeah, imagine though if they actually brought in
him. His family lives inside him, inside of the owl house. Now it's
if they like actually bring in another, it's not gonna be the Duolingo owl. It could be like a random green owl that we see.
It's
like
the self-insert like owl house version of the Duolingo owl. It's not copyrighted. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And that would be.
I mean, what I was thinking, if we go full Kipo epilogue, maybe we have a time skip and Luz and Amity are older in that epilogue, and then we time skip and here's a Hootie love interest in the epilogue.
I can't believe like when you were asking us to write down theories, I didn't consider that Hootie would be even more plot significant than King, because I've been thinking that for a while and I didn't even suggest it, and we obviously don't have time because we're almost 2 hours into this. But like, okay. We don't know where Hootie came from. We don't know like what he is. I feel like he's gonna have huge plot potential at some point, either this season or in season 3. Like I would stake my life on that. I don't know like what the answers, but he's very significant somehow. I feel like that's very much on the table.
Hootie will eat literally anything. What if he's just got some Titan's blood waiting in his stomach somewhere?
It's full of Titan's blood. Maybe that's how he can stretch indefinitely and be a house that the organs, the house, like Hootie is so powerful. I mean, if Hootie fought Belos, I don't think Hootie would die.
Yeah, I mean, Hootie's the secret weapon for the finale. I like I like that Hootie's the source of the Titan's blood. That's a good theory.
Accidentally, like 400 years ago, he thought it was a present for him, and he's just been keeping it till someone asked him for it, and now he'll cough it up for Luce, no problem. If only she knew to ask.
Yeah, and he's too checked out to like understand that that's what they need.
Exactly.
He's focused on other things. I do think we like the episode 8 kind of explains what Hootie is. It says he's a bug demon. He's a worm, an insect demon. Yeah. Whereas King is like, oh, we don't know who you are. So definitely like King is the pressing thing to solve. But I mean, I'm still left with questions about what Hootie is. Not just him. He's generally a worm. Like it doesn't really explain it to me.
Explain anything about Hootie himself? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So. We're next podcast is entirely Hootie Theories podcast. Nope. Just kidding. But
for April, don't worry.
What's Michelle? Any final thoughts Hootie related on theories or non-Hootie related?
We didn't talk about Luce's dad, but I'm not sure he's relevant. I mean, that sounds mean. Like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, people on our Discord are talking a lot about Luce's dad. I just don't think he's going to play into it.
I feel like he's not that relevant. And that's okay, because she's also, like, literally never mentioned him. So if he's not in the picture, that's fine.
Is the Belos is Luce's dad theory totally dead, or are people still supporting that?
If it's still alive, kill it
Never
right
dead.
now.
Never.
Ridiculous. It's preposterous.
Until we know exactly Belos's backstory, it can't be dead.
Belos is a very old man. He's not Luce's dad.
Okay, Belos.
Well, he was young once.
One of Belos's Grimwalkers. He was younger before he started decomposing. He snuck back to Earth. You know. Okay, there you go.
He had a nice night. They went out for a pasta dinner.
Like a sailor who goes to port after being at sea for 6 months, like just for the night and goes back on the ship.
Yep. Is Hootie Luce's dad? Can that be true?
I mean, yeah, because Hootie is such a mystery.
It's possible.
He could probably shapeshift into someone's dad, like contort his body. He became a whole Swampo in less than 5 minutes of planning to hook up his best friend. I think he could definitely pretend to be someone's dad.
His one-sided best friend, yeah.
I never heard him like that.
I know. I'm sorry, Hootie. I'm sorry. Alex, any other theory things?
No, I think I'm exhausted on Owl House theories at this point. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on with the show.
Yeah, I'm just excited to have Luce keep on her journey of self-realization and finding out what she wants out of life as she's encountering new feelings and new looks on her family and her found family. That's really the heart of the show for me, and I'm just excited to get more of that soon, please.
Yeah, I do agree. All this theory stuff is fun. I'm most invested in Luce's emotional arc and, Amity and not Amity in that. But all of that playing out in the second half of the season. So it is fun. The show has all that emotional stuff anchoring it and also has all this fun theory stuff.
Sure.
Pretty fun state, I think, heading into the last 11 episodes of the season, which is a lot, but also not a lot left of the Owl House. Yes, we'll see when the show's back. We'll be back to talk about it. I wanted to end on a special segment here on the podcast that was not planned because we were recording this podcast on I know it's far ahead of when it released, but we're recording this on Thursday, the 23rd of September.
Okay, momentous date. Yes.
While we were talking, there's big news that was announced.
What happened?
Which is the voice cast of the animated Super Mario Brothers movie was announced.
Okay.
So,
why is that relevant?
So I want to go through this voice cast and react.
This is an insane cast list.
I want to react because it's the most ridiculous cast list I've ever seen. So we need to talk
about it. What the?
Okay.
Oh my God, no.
Okay, let's go through. So Chris Pratt is playing Mario.
Okay, immediately, no.
Immediately,
like some freaking executive go to a bar with Chris Pratt one night, and Chris did a really bad impression. He's like, haha, that was fun. You want a job, Chris? I've got something coming up. You'd be perfect for.
The Chris Pratt voice work that I remember is Lego Movie 2, where he's just doing his Jurassic World character of like macho dude who like doesn't really like it's just kind of wait like that's not what I associate Mario with.
Will he be doing an Italian accent? This is what we need to know.
He's Italian, and he's not Italian, as far as I know. Chris Pratt is not Italian. What is he doing?
Charlie Day is playing Luigi.
I like Charlie Day, but like that is an insane combination.
Who is Jack Black playing?
Bowser.
Jack Black is Bowser, which is kind of perfect, I think.
I mean, I love Jack Black. I'm sure he can do he could do something very fun with it, but also like, why is
like,
this happening?
I could see Bowser's like a party animal. Like you could turn that character into something like that, which fits Jack Black.
Anya Taylor-Joy is Peach.
Like, sure, but also like, why?
Look, she's incredible in Queen's Gambit, so I guess that means she's Peach now. She's blonde.
Thanks. She's blonde. Okay, that's one thing.
Go.
They won't have to dye her hair. They'll save money there. They're gonna lose a lot more money paying for her, though.
No, but it's animated. But animated. We don't know what that means anymore. Is this going to be like a CG capture? I assume this is like a 3D animated type of thing.
Frick frack is Kong. Who is that?
Keegan-Michael Key is Toad.
Okay, so I actually kind of like this one because I do think Keegan-Michael Key can hit some high notes, and like you need a high voice to do Toad, and I think he can pull it off. So like every animated Toad voice is like really annoying, but like I think he can thread the line, even if this is just a small role. But like that's like the one casting I can sort of vibe with.
I had to look up Cranky Kong. Instagram. Cranky. Okay, I didn't remember this was a character that had a name.
We haven't done Donkey Kong. Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong.
No.
I mean, his laugh is about Donkey Kong's laugh, right? Like
say words, so I guess you won't have to do much at least. So it's hard to mess up, but you don't have a lot of vocabulary to rely on.
Donkey Kong better be smoking a lot of pot in this movie. I mean, that's all.
Smoking a lot of bananas, am I right?
Oh, they're definitely doing that. Oh, I love it and I hate it. Okay, Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong, who's not a major character.
Yeah, why? He's given this is such a man. I can only think of Crinkly Wrinkly in relation to Cranky Kong, and that's because I haven't thought about Cranky Kong since I was like 6 years old.
What are some voice work for Fred Armisen? Kevin from Final Space,
yes,
right?
Kevin.
What else has he done?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin. I guess he can do like Grumpy Old Man or Grumpy Old Monkey. This monkey looks ridiculous. It's wearing like a sweater vest and he has a cane.
Just imagine him as Kevin.
And little spectacles. Like, oh my god! I hope they keep that.
Justice for Funky Kong. Where's Funky Kong in this cast?
It's Funky Kong.
Funky Kong gets called out. Okay, this is coming out December 21st, 2022. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Donkey Kong. He just looks like Donkey Kong put on some clothes.
Yeah. He's got a surfboard usually. Funky Kong is a cool guy. I also want to point out this is a collaboration with Illumination, who does the Despicable Me and the Minions movies. So like, get ready for some crossover ads. I am up for the Minions just hanging out with Mario and Luigi. It's like hitting blocks and going banana with Donkey Kong. So
I really don't like this image you're painting.
No minion. We're not no minions. Come on.
This is already cursed.
This podcast is as a firm stance on being anti-minion.
I
upsetting. It just says surprise cameos for the last person. Like, what is even the point of listing them if you're not going to say who their surprise cameos of?
Alex, did you post this in the chat? I did this independently of seeing you said, "Can we react to this?" I swear, I did not even see you say that.
I don't like
I just saw your message. I was planning this.
I posted this while we were talking about Amity's parents.
I know. I was planning it from once I saw it on Twitter at some point when I should have been paying attention.
People multitasking. I was fully engaged in this conversation and closed my tabs.
I also prepared that King Gonzo Photoshop.
I know, that was very nice.
That's an April move, doing the Photoshop during the podcast. So good job on that. Okay. That's
Wow.
it. That's our Super Mario Brothers podcast. Thank you for listening for 2 hours of Super Mario Brothers talk. Yeah, will Owl House be done before that movie comes out? Probably, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because they're gonna have to spend so much extra time doing retakes because none of these people are voice actors.
So you think it's going to get pushed back? Okay. It's a good theory. There you go. Any final thoughts on any topics from today?
Grimwalkers, as many Grimwalkers as possible, please. That's what
Yeah.
I hope. Everyone's a Grimwalker.
I
hope so.
I think Charlie Day could do a demon on Owl House. Like, he has that kind of energy to him. So like, I could totally see like walking into the prison and there's just like this random demon. And he's like, "Hey guys, what's up? What's going on?" Like, I definitely could see Charlie Day pulling that off. So please get Charlie Day to be on Owl House. I think would work.
Okay.
That's my pitch.
Yeah. Can't wait for Seth Rogen to come into Owl House.
No. Draw the line.
We got some big guest stars lined up for the specials. Actually, that would be interesting. If those are higher prominence. Anyway, there you go. That's the podcast. Let us know what you thought of our Super Mario Brothers reaction and also the Owl House theories. You can comment anywhere you're listening to the podcast. You can support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Carter. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, Steve Beatrice and Michael M. Phonician. The plan is next podcast will be in the vein of our Super Mario Brothers discussion. We'll be finding out who is the most cursed animation character.
Woo!
This is the plan.
I'm so insanely hyped for this.
Is it too early to put in the Super Mario Brothers movie characters into that discussion, just based on their voice actors?
So we can't. They have unfair advantage, especially this news being so fresh. I feel like it'd really color our opinions.
Yeah, it would.
You could probably sneak in Toad from the Super Mario Bros. Super Show because he was pretty cursed in that. Like his voice like would pierce your eardrums if you listen back to those episodes.
Live action Super Mario Brothers probably cursed all those characters. Okay, so actual characters like Kevin and Hootie that we brought up here will be discussed. So I look forward to that. And I believe that should be it. So thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.